Greetings, co-Lightworkers.
We are Kristin, Angie, Robyn, Ava, and Toma, a group of mediums, intuitives, and healers.
We are the 5 Lightworkers.
And we are here as guides and students amid this great awakening.
Welcome to our show.
What is it that we need to do? Do we prepare ourselves? Do we anchor the light? Do we send out the love fields to the earth and everyone on it?
Connect to our light, because our light is love. We're all from the source creator. That energy is love. And so once we can connect to that, just by doing that will connect us to the earth, which will anchor that love to the earth, which will illuminate everything around us.
How do you guys personally anchor light?
It's like grounding, right? You connect to the earth with your feet. However that looks to you, that's what I do. I connect to the earth with my feet. Imagine roots growing down into the inner earth, onto the crystals, because I do that now too. And then I also connect with source above and imagine a pillar of source's light coming down into my crown chakra all the way down through my body. And then I activate my own heart chakra. I have an intention of love. If you do that first, that's the energy intention that comes forward. And then that helps to anchor it to the earth.
Well, I was just going to say the way I do it is the exact same way Angie does it. So that's
Me too.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned something, intention. And I feel that the power of intention is so strong. Oftentimes, we're not, as a collective, aware of that. But every thought we have has a sort of manifestation and it ripples out. And so I think with just simple intention, you can anchor in that light. And also, I feel that it's important, if there's any other emotions going on, to clear that and recognize what's going on, ground it, receive the message you need to from that, because we don't want to just ignore what's going on. Because really, it'll be so powerful when we can be a clear channel for that frequency. And so we have to clear anything that might be sort of getting in the way, validating yourself and letting yourself feel whatever's coming up and then letting it go. But it can be so simple with intention. I mean, you can heal with intention.
Yeah, and people might not realize how powerful just doing that intentional grounding is, and how it really, truly affects the energy of the earth. Even from one single person, it matters. One single person healing heals the person next to them, heals the person next to them. So our intentions really are everything.
And even minding your thoughts, because we are all antennas picking up on energy. I mean, you can walk into a room and feel the frequency of the thoughts going on. So you don't have to be clairvoyant to ground and see that grounding cord. You can think it, right? And you don't have to be, have all of your psychic senses really cultivated, expert level. I mean, it can, anybody can do this, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that, Ava. Yeah. That's perfect, because everybody matters. It does, everybody's energy. So it's how you use it and how you intend it. Mm-hmm. It all matters.
Absolutely. So really, intention is everything. So if you put an intention that I want to put more love out there, that's what's going to happen, right? It's sort of like, I believe I could, so I did it, right? So even if I didn't do something correctly, like for example, I'm practicing playing the crystal bowl. So what if I do the not correct notes, or it just doesn't come out right, and my team is saying, it doesn't really matter. It's the intention really that counts. That is the solid foundation of everything. It's what's in your heart. What do you intend to do with that?
You know what that made me think of? You could go to 2 different concerts and hear a singer that's very well-trained, perfect voice, notes, but there's not that sort of passion behind it. And then you could go see another singer who's not had any formal training. They taught themselves, but they have this deep, soulful passion and intention behind their music, and the two feel completely different, right? So I liken it to that, because a lot of it is the intention. And I've known musicians that were forced to play and train, and that works out for some people, and some people it kind of takes the passion out of it. And I've known other musicians who are like, I don't really know what I'm doing, I'm just going by ear, but they maybe found music through a bunch of hardship in their life or whatever reason it was. And you can feel that soul, like that soulful music can be in pretty much any genre. So it really is that power of intention. And you feel music can invoke so many different feelings, and that's energy. Do you see the sound waves? I mean, most people don't. So
right. Very good point. Excellent point. Yeah.
It all ties into manifestation as well. So your intention right now, the energy is so powerful that the manifestations are quickening. So keep your thoughts positive.
Yes.
and set the intentions. We're seeing that just amongst the group. When we set an intention, things are happening, and it's almost miraculous. And we're enjoying that process.
And I think it being more than one person setting that same intention really intensifies it. But it's like if you put one person and the other person, you're really the intensity of the two together equals more than just the two. So not mathematically correct, I guess.
Well, it makes me feel, it kind of brings it back to this date we're hearing about. And I'm not doubting that it is a powerful date, but there's a lot of different narratives. And just on a grander scale, when there's a fear narrative around something, even in the spiritual community or whatever community, the survival community, homestead community, any community, fears can be very powerful and can be contagious. And all of a sudden, there's this mass of people thinking about this thing, and without realizing it, manifesting it. So the way I try to see these disconcerting predictions, well, you can hold space for that. There's many different timelines. That's not the timeline I'm going to choose and put my energy into. I don't want to manifest more suffering.
So sort of be cautious of what you're putting out into the collective, right? I just remembered, so we were sharing the last few days ago that Angie, I believe, and I had both similar dreams in a way that it was fire related, and the way that Kristin interpreted it for me, it totally made sense. So in my dream, everyone was panicking and packing stuff around, like in backpacks and running away in the woods and whatnot. And I'm like, myself and another friend of mine, we're just like, whatever. I mean, I don't know what they're all excited about here, but we're just going to carry on. So we go out into some weird city, like skyscrapers, and we just go to this cafe to get some lunch, like normal people do, right? I guess. Only the city is almost entirely deserted. And then I remember parking the car in some parking garage, and all of a sudden in my dream, even though there was no sound in it, and like all of a sudden it's like, you know, those sort of scary sort of movies, it's like, do you hear anything? No, like all of the sound's gone, and all of a sudden I see this huge fire. And of course in the dream it was like kind of scary, but the way Kristin interpreted is that sort of don't lose your mind when everyone else is panicking over something that may or may not happen, or even might happen in the positive way shift than what they think or afraid is might happen. So kind of keep your head, you know, be cool, hold the space for everyone else, hold the intention of love and grounding. So go not from the fear, but from the love. And what was your dream like, Angie? Was that a dream?
It wasn't a dream. It was a channeling. But this time they said there's fire above the earth, and that it's going to come down and help with the energies to open up on the earth. And when I asked them, about fire, because they never say fire. They specifically said it was related to the sun, like a solar flare. And when they said that to me, the very next morning, there were I can't remember, 1 or 2 solar flares in the morning.
So I take the fire symbol to be like illumination, which, it does do that, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that's kind of what we were talking about before, about how the solar flares create ascension in the people by cleansing their energies. So
And I think you had that channeled message when the Schumann resonance, when it was down. So it would...
Oh, like the blackout.
The blackout, yeah. It would support your channeled message. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a download that I had shared with y'all, but I just wanted to share another piece of information, because in our last episode, we spoke about how the solar flares and this activity with the sun is specifically activating us and a sort of catalyst to ascension. And this new perspective of it, or maybe an addendum to it, came, and I was thinking about the electromagnetic spectrum and how you have your slower frequencies and then your faster frequencies. And so a slower frequency would be red, orange, yellow, and you think of the rainbow, and as it goes up to blue and violet, those are faster frequencies. And so think about a flame, think about a lighter, and you light. I wish I had a lighter. Oh, I do. Let's see if you can see it. Sort of. Wait, can you? Okay. So here's the lighter. We're going to think of the lighter as the source, the sun, and right here, it's blue. And the blue means the molecules are vibrating much faster, a faster frequency. And then it goes to orange and yellow up here. So it's a slower frequency up there. So basically, the solar flares are bringing the heat source, the sun energy, or you can think of the source of heat closer to us. So on a molecular level, we are vibrating faster, and our energy that is catalyzing more of this ascension and activating our DNA. So it's just an addition to our last episode, but that download of pieces made it make sense in another way.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did I get chills, I got a Charlie horse. It's like, oh my God, I have a Charlie horse.
Oh, I've been getting those a lot lately. Oh.
You need more magnesium.
I know.
That's so funny.
I do take it at nighttime. So
I do too.
Good.
Yeah. That's a double confirmation, Ava.
Oh, man.
So as you're talking about the crystalline bodies here, is one supposed to be crystalline in order to get to 5D, or are they going to get crystalline in 5D?
One day when I was sleeping, I could barely sleep. So every time I would wake up, it was because I kept getting in my mind, crystalline vortex. And so I feel like we are in the energy where it's creating a crystalline vessel for us as we upgrade and do the work to upgrade our DNA. So I think it's just going to happen as you choose. But from what I understand, there's different levels of it. And once you hit a certain level, you become all crystalline.
It makes me think of, have you guys ever heard of Dr. Emoto and his experiment with the water?
Oh, yeah.
How with the different water molecules, he would see like they look like little snowflakes in like each word that they would intentionally give to that specific water, with like whether it be love, peace, all that kind of stuff. It was like this perfect geometrical crystal. And then the words that of hate, anger, it didn't look like as pretty as the other ones. Yeah, it wasn't as symmetrical. It just reminds me of that when you think of the crystalline structure. It's like our bodies are mostly water. And if you put out those intentions of love, the happy vibrations, joy, all that kind of stuff, and you think about the water in our bodies are going to have those same beautiful sacred geometry, crystalline structures. I always go back to when I hear about our bodies going more crystalline, I always think about Dr. Emoto and his experiment with the water.
That's a great explanation.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does.
Let's start with us first, right? I mean,
Yes.
if we're basically 70% water, let's start with crystallizing our own water before going out. So go in before you go out, right? I love it. And for a while, my team of angels were telling me to tell my body that I love it. Like, you know, go as little and as big as you want. Like my mind, I love you. My face, I love you. My liver, I love you. My kidneys, I love you. And so on and so forth. You know, my blood, I love you. Like, and then for a while I did that daily and I forgot. So thank you for reminding me. So I guess that I love you intention really would turn it into beautiful geometric snowflake like
Wow.
shapes.
Yes.
And that ties back to the power of intention that we were speaking about too.
Yes.
And it makes me think about, you know, how you can look like a completely different person when you feel confident or if you don't feel confident. And a lot of that feeling of confidence comes from feeling of self-love in that moment and the vice versa. So that can be felt and seen in others and yourself. And that just seems like another manifestation of that power of intention. That's fascinating. With the water crystals, I mean, that makes absolute sense. And we have, I think they're called piezoelectric crystals.
Crystals. Yes.
yes.
In our brain.
And
In our pituitary, right?
Mm-hmm.
they've scientifically measured that and seen that and done all sorts of experiments, and it's absolutely fascinating. Like we are actual conductors, like
Yes.
receivers, conductors. It's so cool.
I was just going to say there's a company, I eat the oats. They're out in Vancouver. I think they're called Anita's oats, and they're organic and gluten-free. I've been eating them for a couple of years, but recently I turned over the bag. I always transfer from the plastic and put into glass jars. And at the bottom of the bag, they wrote the word love on the bag.
Aww.
And I thought, oh, so they put the intention of love in their food. So I bought a different type of oats and I mixed them up and I made oats with this other one and I couldn't even eat it. And then I was like, oh, I took the wrong oats. So I threw that out and I made the fresh oats with this one for love. And it was way more palatable. It made such a difference on how the food tasted. It had an effect, I felt. And I was surprised because I didn't notice it for years. And then right at the very bottom, and I go, wow, that is brilliant.
That's
that
cool.
They did that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think even wearing a t-shirt that says love on it or, you know, all the positive.
That sort of sensitivity that you're feeling, I see as part of these activations. Like we are becoming more sensitive and attuned to our outer and inner world. I mean,
Yeah, as within, so without. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your palms have heart chakras, so I'll grace the food and then I hold my hands above and just send love into the food.
Raises the vibration by blessing it.
And as far as what you're talking about, the intention with what you're eating, it makes me think of that double slit experiment they did with quantum physics and how when consciousness is applied to matter, it changes the form of that matter.
Yeah.
So we are seeing so many shifts that everybody's capable of transmuting things, transforming things. And when you believe that and you start to cultivate that power within, especially when it's of a higher vibration, because that is so much more powerful than the lower vibrations, can literally change matter.
And I don't think you have to work hard at it. Just set the intention and speak it or do it. And that's it.
Exactly.
You know, and believe. It's the believing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to believe you can heal to heal. Like when you understand that concept.
So it's really manifestation, right?
Mm-hmm.
The intention that leads into manifestation.
With manifestation is that it is the intention, but it's also feeling that it's like, let's say you're trying to heal from something. You are feeling what it's like to be fully healed from that thing. Mm-hmm. What are your sensations? What does it feel like? What do you see? You're bringing that into your present moment. The intention is half of the puzzle, and then the feeling what it feels like, not as something in the future separate from you. It's something in the now.
Do you think that when we're in the 4D and the 5D, that manifestation will be easier?
They're saying faster. So careful what your thoughts are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what you're referring
Right.
to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are all manifesting much, much quicker. And to me, it's easier for me to notice when I think something positive and it happens almost immediately. And I have to remember, like, it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I told y'all that happened to me. I went to the ATM, and I just rarely go to the ATM, but it had me put my debit card in there, and I put it in, and I thought, oh, wouldn't that be funny if it didn't give me my card back? It didn't give me my card back. Destroyed it. It ate the damn card. Like, oh my gosh. And I had a whole line of cars behind me too. And I went and knocked, and I was like, you don't want to use this machine. But so
You learned your lesson.
yeah, it goes both ways. So
Okay. So last night I went to Costco shopping, and I just have like the lowest membership card, right? And I'm checking out, and I've realized in that moment that I kind of come here a lot, and I guess I should upgrade to the one higher up, right? So I get some cash back. 2 seconds later, not kidding, lady comes up. Based on your purchases the last whatever month, it would make sense for you to upgrade to the highest membership. Normally it would be an upgrade of $60. I'll give it to you for $40. I'm like, okay, sign me up.
If you notice yourself having bad thoughts, like if you're thinking something negative, just say, cancel that. I do not consent.
Yes. Cancel.
Cancel.
I like that a lot. You know what this just made me think of? Because they've done experiments where they've seen people, like, with they do scans in their brain, and they actually expose them to certain images, and after a while they notice that they can basically, their brain is predicting like 7 seconds in the future. And so it makes me wonder about manifestation, and are we picking up on another timeline that's already occurring, and we're just more cognizant of it? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think what you're saying is, so like, did I just have that thought because I knew what was going to happen, or did I manifest that?
Right.
Is that what you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Explained. Mm-hmm.
It's like, did the chicken come first or did the egg come first?
Right.
That's what that reminds me of.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a great synopsis of what I was trying to get to. Yeah. Because we've also heard there's a version of you that's already has manifested that. Are we tapping into that?
To Harry Potter fans out there, what was it? Prisoner of Azkaban. He goes and casts his Patronus for the first time, like corporeal, because he knew that he could right at the end of the movie. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like, well, I almost saw myself doing it, if you will, in the future. So I'm doing it now. But really, the future was the past. Well, I knew I could, so I did.
I did the same when I received the diagnosis for my health, and it's a very grave outcome. And I knew in my head, I can heal. Right instantly, I can heal. And it's taken me a long time, but I did it. I'm there. I'm almost, so my body's catching up to my mind. But in my mind, I've healed. So
Wow. That gave me
because I knew I could.
Yes.
And whatever that my higher self told me that when I got that diagnosis, and that's, shortly after that, I was at a naturopath.
Whew,
Yeah.
chills.
Yeah.
Wow. We see that too, because you see people they get told they're never going to walk again. I don't buy into that. And sure enough, it takes determination, and it makes me think of, I think in the 1950s, they thought your heart would explode if you ran a 4-minute mile. So nobody had done that, as far as we know, on record. And I think Roger Bannister comes along and he believed he could, and he ran a 4-minute mile. And then all of a sudden, people around him saw it was possible, and everybody started breaking that record.
I just got full body goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say like when people put all of their belief in a doctor or belief in a thing, that they go to that doctor and their first question is, what's my prognosis? And the doctor says, well, you have 3 months to live. And then that's what they go by. Yeah. And they never even think to go internally and say, wait a minute, I can heal. I'm just to the point now where I believe, like Robyn, no, I can heal no matter what.
Like,
so yeah,
those people are giving their power away to that position.
Yes. Yep.
Or even if it's just to prove somebody, the doctor, they are wrong. Like, no, I'll prove you wrong. Even if you don't believe in yourself, I don't know, but you're taking a different perspective.
You're telling yourself you can heal, so your body will start healing. So
right. And I want to honor the people that didn't have that education or awareness, and I've known people that have passed away from getting certain prognoses. And so holding space for that. But I've also known an incredible healer teacher friend, and she had a really aggressive form of cancer, and she had a 7% chance of living. She didn't believe that. And she went on this whole healing journey. And like what Kristin said, she recognized where she was giving her power away. Mm-hmm. She brought all of that energy back, which gave her more energy to heal. Her name's Naomi Hori. If you guys want to check her out, she's phenomenal. But one more example is I heard about this guy who didn't do very good in school. He had, they had their SATs, testing, standardized testing. I hate standardized testing. But anyways, so he typically just was failing school, but he got the results back, and he was top of the school. He was surprised, and his mom, everybody thought he cheated. He's like, I didn't cheat. No. So I can't remember how long it was, many, many years. He became really successful. And I think it was when he was sort of at the pinnacle of his career, he learned that the school, they had accidentally mixed up the scores, and he actually did have a really bad score, but he didn't know it. He believed all of the sudden he's like, oh my God, I can do it. Like I have some potential in me I didn't know about. So he all of a sudden believed that, and he went to, defy what his previous life projection had appeared to be. And I think sadly, the person that got his score didn't do as well. So it's really, really powerful. And I've also, I'm not going to get into the details right now, but I've also had experiences where I shouldn't be alive, but there was something in me that knew there was like a will to live. Like I knew I could get through this. And, so I spent many, many years in a hospital, and times when they said, we don't know how you're alive, or they told my parents, prepare. I'm not saying that things don't happen, but I do feel that my sense of will and spirit to not believe, like I would fall privy to a lot of these things that I'd heard, really helped carry me through. And so it can sound very woo-woo to people, but when you hear all of these tangible experiences that we've all had and countless others have had, you got to think about it. Like what you believe really, really matters a lot. And a lot of that is your intention. So, yeah.
Excellent.
That was really beautiful and powerful, Ava. Thank you for sharing that. And well,
keep your thoughts positive.
Yeah.
And if you can't keep them positive, at least be stubborn enough to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Hold the other naysayers wrong.
Or put them in the red room.
I could see myself being in that category.
I think I've done that a few times in my life too.
Oh, yeah.
The ego stepped in, but that's okay.
Well, and sometimes the ego gets sort of demonized, but I think we can utilize this ego. We have for a reason.
Yeah.
There's the wounded or unhealed and the more healed integrated. So it's like integrity, when your higher self is working through you and you're in the world with that, versus when there's a sort of persona mask that's not congruent with what's on the inside.
I'm sweating buckets.
Yeah.
It was too. For a while.
Heck, it's like, whoa, this is a hot
finally
topic.
stopped. Yeah.
It's like my underarms. It's like, what? I never